think, thanked for that, and me being able to express my love for them and vice versa. Man, that's worth being here for 11 years just for the past couple hours.
All right, back again, former Cougars, David Nixon and Vic Soto. Bronco Mendenhall announcing he's going to Virginia on Friday. Were you surprised that now is the time and it's Virginia?
I was surprised. You know, there's been rumblings in the year past that Bronco was interviewing, that he was looking at other options. But I think this year was so tight-lipped that nothing had leaked out, and nobody had really started any rumors, per se. And so when it came out on Friday, I was very surprised. But I wasn't at the same time, because I know that in the years past, he'd be kind of out looking.
What about you?
I was the same with Dave. I was beyond surprised. But then as far as Virginia goes, I think it fits him the most. They have high academics. They're expecting a lot out of the players. So I think Virginia fits Coach Mendenhall, but I'd rather him at BYU.
I bet. Well, 11 years at BYU, and 11 years is an eternity in coaching. Right. How should he be remembered? How should his time, his era at BYU be remembered?
I mean, 99 wins, over 70% winning percentage. I think he did a fantastic job. And not only the wins, but it's what he did off the field with the players, right? You got to remember that he came in taking over for Gary Croton when the program was a mess, to be honest. He came in, really put it in shape. And I think if you talk to former players like Vic and I and any other players, we've seen a lot of tweets from John Beck and a lot of other former players that we respect him. And I think as a coach, to be not only on the field, what your product is on the field, but off the field and what you do to young men's lives like ours, and how you have former players respect you that much, I think that's a telltale sign exactly what he did at BYU.
Bronco said it was time for a change, for him and for BYU. There was a lot of fans that are going to be pleased with this news, that wanted some change. Why is that? Why do you think so many BYU fans, I don't know, I'm not saying it's a majority, but there was a lot of people that wanted to see this happen?
Well, I think, and Coach Mendenhall mentioned in his press conference, change is good. And I think he got to the point where he felt that he had pretty much done the best he could here at BYU, and he felt like it was time to ready to move on. I think fans have somewhat of a feel for that as well, and the fact that maybe it's time for somebody else to come take a crack at it and see what they can do with the program. Independence was rough for BYU trying to transition independence. You weren't playing Wyoming and New Mexico anymore, but now you're playing better opponents. I think the talent, there was some drop-off in the talent pool, and then Bronco started making some changes with going from defensive coordinator and being more of a head coach and handing out the reins. So there's a combination of a lot of things, but at the end of the day, they were still to the bowl game, right? And that's something that my freshman year we didn't do. And so BYU fans take going to 11 straight bowl games for granted, because my freshman year at BYU we didn't do that. And so while he might have had a down year according to BYU standards, he still went 8-5 and went to bowl games. So there's not much to complain about.
Okay, looking ahead, everybody's speculating who's going to be the next guy.
We all have the same 4 or 5 guys that are on that short list. And
Bevel, the offensive coordinator for Seattle, Navy head coach, Lance Anderson, the defensive coordinator, Stanford, Kalani Sitake at Oregon State.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is how are you going to take a pay cut or a small raise to do the hardest job in college football? You got kids that you recruit that go on missions, you don't know if they're going to come back the same. I'd say what, you think it's 50-50 or 60-40 they come back, the kid that you recruited? Are you invested in this? Is this your destination job? Is BYU your job, your dream job?
I think beyond that, it's going to be interesting to see who he brings in as the future coach brings in as assistants. Who does he retain? Does he retain Coach Anai and some of the defensive coaches, or do they go with Coach Mendenhall over to Virginia? And so there's a lot up in the air that as former players, we're anxious to see, because, we played under some of these coaches, and it'll be interesting to see them leave or stay and who gets promoted eventually.
I asked Tom Homa what he was looking for in a head coach. One of the most important things he stressed was recruiting. How important is recruiting moving forward? How important is it for it to get better? There's a lot of top LDS talent that's no longer going to BYU. They're going to Stanford and elsewhere around the country.
Absolutely. I think what, 80-70% of college football is recruiting. You could stockpile your roster with 5-star guys at the collegiate level at every single position if you wanted to. And so the guy that has to come in here has to understand the landscape of BYU, who they're playing, has to understand that these kids not only have to be great on the field, they have to be even better off the field.
Okay, I got to throw this out. Okay. Taysom Hill, does he come back to BYU, or is he going to go to Virginia with Bronco? What do you think?
You guys, this is the brother-in-law.
Yeah.
The brother-in-law.
You don't even know.
To Taysom Hill.
I don't even know. Exactly. He's my brother-in-law. He married my sister, so I don't even know. I think all BYU fans obviously want him back, and I know he wants to make a decision soon, and obviously have our fingers crossed that he'll be back in blue next year to beat up on the Utes in Game 2.
It all comes back full circle.
All right, guys. David Nixon, Vic Soto. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for
coming in.
your insight.